Hi, it's Lori from Coast to Coast Craft Girls, coming to you from the West Coast. Today I wanted to share a really pretty cute little Easter card that I made where the little bird, you can't really tell, well, maybe you can see it from that way. The little bird with the Easter basket is flying along and is just kind of swinging there. It's harder to tell, so see how he's free there. Really cute, folds flat to mail, but stands up and just makes a really cute little scene. This was made with some dies that I just got today from In Love Arts, Tulip Egg and Fence and Bird with Egg and Basket. Not clever names, but they describe what they were. But anyway, it's two different sets, but I will show you how I made it. Okay, so to make our card, we're going to start out with two pieces of paper that are 7 by 7. And I'm going to score, and you score at 5 and 6.5. So that creates a 5 by 7 panel, and then a 1.5 by 7, which is the side, and then a 1/2 inch glue tab. And you need 2 of these. Okay, so I've got 2. Then on this is going to be the front. This is the back, so it's solid. On the front one, I took my rectangular nesting dies, and this nesting die is about 4 by 6, and I just cut it right out of the center of that. Okay, and that gives you your aperture in your front. So it's 5, 1.5, and a 1/2 inch, just like the back, but I cut my aperture out. Then you need 2 pieces of card that are 7 by 6, and you score a 1/2 inch in on each side. And those are going to be your layers in the middle, and these are your glue tabs. And you want to cut apertures in these in exactly the same place as this one. So the easiest way to do that is to get them lined up like that. Make sure they're 100% lined up. And fit your nesting die right back into the center, into the hole from the front. And as long as it's all lined up, and run that through. Then you pull that panel out. Get this out of the way. And it should be in exactly the right spot. So line them up. Yep, perfect. Just like that. Okay, so that gives you your 3, and you do it twice. So that gives you your 3 frames. So your 2 in the center and your front. Then I took that same nesting die and one bigger, and I cut 3 little frames out of this bright pink. And I'm going to use those to frame each of my layers. And we're just going to glue that around the inside of that frame, just to make a nice bright pink frame on all 3 of those. So let me glue those up. Now we're going to take our back and our front, and we're going to glue one side together. Okay, so we're going to glue that glue tab on the front to the back and just put it right on the edge. Then, before I do too much, I'm going to go ahead and put my background paper in. This paper came from the Crafter's Companion Garden Gnomes collection. And I'm going to go ahead and put that background paper in. Okay, now we're going to put our 2 frames in. And you want to kind of make sure you dry fit them so that in case they're not in exactly the center, that you get them in the right orientation. So that looks good. We'll start with 1. And you're going to put some glue just on this 1/2 inch tab. And you open this up and you're going to set it right on here on that side, right up against that score line. You just want to get it straight. Glue that down. Okay. Now we're going to do the same thing with this one, but right up against that piece. I just want to put it right, essentially straight and equidistant from that bottom one. Okay, let's fold those down. Now, when you fold this in, you should be able to put glue on these 2 tabs and on this tab, and then just fold it up and shut, and you'll make sure that your diorama box, your box card, will fold flat for mailing. Just make sure you don't fold or glue these 2 sections together. While that glue is setting up, I'm going to set it to the side. And I'm going to show you my decorations. So I've got really cute little fence pieces with a little Easter basket, a bunch of Easter eggs, a bird, another basket, and this bow goes on the basket. My bird's going to be holding on to that basket, and then a bunch of tulips. All of these, the tulips, this basket, the fence, and some of the little small eggs came from a die set from In Love Arts called Tulip Eggs and Fence. And this is the picture of what it looks like, but it creates these little fence sections in the basket with some tulips and some eggs. And then these other dies, so the bird, the bigger eggs, the basket, and the bow came from In Love Arts Bird with Egg Basket, and this is what it looks like, or is on the website. And I just got both of these die sets today, and I thought I'd go ahead and play with them. And I hadn't intended on using them together, but then when I thought about this box card, I thought, actually these would go really, really well together. So I decided to give it a try. Now on the bird, I cut him once in light blue and once in dark blue. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out, I'm going to just kind of cut out its tummy and the underside of its wings on the light blue and put into the dark blue. So to make it kind of two-tone, because it's not a layering die per se, but it's really easy to do because it's got some like cut lines. So like this section, you just basically have to just release it to get those undersides cut out. So it's really easy to give you the 2 pieces if you want. Okay, so there's the 2 undersides of my wings. And then I think I'm going to go ahead and do the belly as well. So again, it's got these cut lines, so all you have to do is just kind of release it from the other part. Very, very simple. You could just cut it out of white and color it with alcohol markers or something. that works too, but I thought I'd try this paper. Kind of, it's a little bit of a, not really paper piecing, but kind of. And then because it's the same die, it fits right on top. And on the wing, you can kind of leave it a little bit loose. It gives it some sense of movement. So I'm not going to glue it down except on the main part of the wing, like that. And then you can see he's got like a little hole in his beak. And I've just got a little piece of gold card. The die actually cuts out the little beak, but it's so tiny. It's really hard to, I think it's really hard to work with. So what I decided to do is just cut a little scrap of gold card, and I'm just going to glue it on the back underneath like that. And I think that's just a lot easier. And that gives you the look of a little yellow beak without having to fuss with that tiny little die cut piece. Okay, so now let me bring my card back in. Actually, I'm going to cut some side panels, and so those are 1.5 by 7. Okay, and now it's just about decorating. So one thing that I did do is I cut a little strip of green card, and it's just like 4 3/4 inches wide and like 1.5 inches high. And then I just kind of cut a little curve in it, and I'm going to put that in on my back layer right up, to kind of create some ground, like. And then I'm going to put my fence on top of that. So I'm going to go ahead and put my fence on first, and then I'll put this in. And then my tulips are going to go on this back layer as well. Okay, so there's my tulips. And I'm just going to put some glue right across the bottom. Slide that in. And I'm going to build up my basket with my ribbon and my bird. So the ribbon goes on top of the large basket, just like that. And then the bird, so we're just going to have it come up just like the bird is holding onto the basket in its mouth, or its beak, whatever you want to call it. I'll let that dry while I'm building my other baskets. And then I've got all these little eggs that I'm going to put into my 2 baskets. So we're going to start with the large eggs, and they're going to slide inside that basket. And it's got like a little slit, so you can open it up and get the eggs to look like they're inside. My bird's going to be flying on this center one, okay? But I want him literally flying. And so I don't want to attach it to the frame because then his head's going to be hidden. So what I'm going to do, so I've just got a strip of acetate, and it's 3 inches long by about 3/4 of an inch wide. And I'm going to glue my bird and my basket onto that acetate, and then use the acetate to glue onto the frame. And I put a little bit of tape on there because acetate, the glue will take a bit to dry on the acetate. And then I'm going to attach that acetate on the back side of this frame. And then my bird's going to just kind of be floating. There we go. Yeah, that's really cute. You can't really tell because I have to hold it down, but it's that folds flat. And then the little bird with the basket is just kind of swinging. So I'm going to put this basket on that same side as the same level as the bird, but just on the bottom, this bottom corner. But I want it just barely on there, just enough to glue on, because I want it to be really visible. Like that. Yeah, that's very cute. And then I just need a nice Happy Easter sentiment. Let me see if I can find one. So I've got this little banner sentiment that says Happy Easter, and I cut it once in green and then twice in yellow, and I'm gonna put them together so I get yellow on both sides and then the green in the middle. And there we go, we're all done. That's so cute. I absolutely love that. So I made that with my In Love Arts dies, which I just got today. The tulip eggs and fence is this back part and this basket. And then the bird with egg and basket is this piece right here. I thought they went so well together. Anyway, really happy with that. Thanks for watching.